British counter-terrorism police has stated that the Russian double agent Sergei Skripal and his daughter first came into contact with the nerve agent from front door of their house. Specialists have identified the highest concentration of the nerve agent has been found on the front door of their home in Salisbury. Meanwhile, niece of Sergei Skripal has told media that he and his daughter Yulia have a slim chance of survival. Victoria Skripal said the prognosis for both are not good. British Prime Minister Theresa May has welcomed the United States' decision to expel 60 Russian diplomats over a nerve agent attack on a former Russian spy in UK. The two leaders, in a telephonic conversation, discussed the need to dismantle Russia's spy network and curtail Moscow's illegal activities. Meanwhile, Russia said that it will definitely respond to the expulsions of its diplomats by multiple governments, but will do so in appropriate time. More than 100 Russian diplomats have been expelled by countries ranging from Denmark and Australia after the attack on former Russian spy in UK. The White House has said that the situation with North Korea was moving in the right direction. This comes after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un met with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. The Trump administration claims that the meeting between the two leaders was a good indication that the maximum pressure campaign by the United States has been working. A South Korean delegation is expected to meet their North Korean counterparts today. The high-level delegation will hold talks in border village of Panmunjom to discuss details for an inter-Korean summit in April. Facebook has announced that it would end its partnerships with several large data brokers who help advertisers target people on the social network. The social media company is under pressure to improve its handling of data after disclosing that information about 50 million Facebook users wrongly ended up in the hands of political consultancy Cambridge Analytica. Facebook adjusted the privacy settings on its service, giving users control over their personal information in fewer taps. Global tech major Microsoft fears that there could be an increase in regulation for the sector. Microsoft's Executive Vice President for Business Development, Peggy Johnson, cited the example of general data protection regulation introduced by Europe for tech companies to adhere to illustrate the increase in regulation. A U.S. judge has rejected Saudi Arabia's bid to dismiss lawsuits accusing Riyadh of helping in the 9/11 attacks. U.S. District Judge George Daniels and that plaintiff's allegations narrowly articulate a reasonable basis for him to assert jurisdiction under country's federal law. The judge also said that Saudi Arabia should pay billions of dollars in damages to victims. Liberians want compatriots living in the United States to return home and help build the country. Their views comes as a response to U.S. President Donald Trump's order to end the special legal status of certain immigrants from Liberia. Former Canadian university students accused of killing 6 Muslims at a mosque in Quebec City in 2017 has pleaded guilty to all charges. Alexandre Bissonnette changed his plea of not guilty to avoid trial. He has been accused of 6 accounts of first-degree murder and 6 of attempted murder for the attack. Last year, he stormed into the Quebec Islamic Cultural Center and shot at those gathered for prayers. Two people detained in connection with the fatal shopping mall fire in Russia, Kemerovo, were given pre-trial detentions. Director of the mall faces charges of negligence, whereas the security guard has been charged with failure to activate the fire alarm system. 64 people, including 41 children, were killed in the fire. Police have cited an electrical short circuit as the most likely cause of the fire. Supporters of former Catalan President Carles Puigdemont protested outside the German prison where he is being held. The protesters hung Catalan flags outside Neumünster prison and held up signs calling for Puigdemont's release. Meanwhile, former Catalan Education Minister Clara Ponsati has been granted bail in an extradition case hearing at a Scottish court. Ponsati is wanted in Spain on charges of rebellion for her role in Catalonia's independence campaign. She is currently a professor at Scotland's prestigious University of St Andrews. US President Donald Trump has fired Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin. Trump has replaced Shulkin with his personal physician, Rear Admiral Ronnie Jackson. This comes as Shulkin faces criticism after controversy over his taxpayer-funded trip to Europe. US police has arrested a man in connection with a series of package bombs sent to US military installation and a CIA mail office in the Washington, D.C. The suspect has been identified as Tan Kon Pan. According to a US security official, said Tan had a history of writing incoherent letters to government officials and was believed to have mental problems. A driver plowed a vehicle into 5 people in San Francisco on Wednesday, killing 1 and critically injuring 3 others before fleeing the scene. A witness said the driver got out of a van with an axe during the altercation, before getting back into the vehicle and driving it into people on the sidewalk. It is still unclear what might have sparked the dispute between the driver and the people in the street. A prison riot broke out in Carabobo, town of Venezuela, on Wednesday. The police have not yet given any details relating to the number injured or the cause of the conflict. Angry family members of the prisoners later clashed with local police outside the prison. The Irish government has set the date for a referendum to decide whether or not to liberalise abortion laws. The historic vote will be carried out on May 25th. Voters will decide whether to repeal or retain the 8th Amendment to country's constitution that limits abortion and gives unborn fetuses and pregnant women an equal right to live. A recent surge in violence in Congo's northeastern province of Ituri has forced more than 60,000 people to flee the country. Other than that, 300,000 people have sought shelter in informal camps. Earlier on Wednesday, 11 civilians were reportedly killed in a terrorist attack in this province. Hundreds of women took to the streets of Santiago to protest against the modification of abortion law in Chile. The modification makes it easier for private clinics to reject carrying out an abortion on the grounds of conscientious objection. Activists argue that the new modifications are opposite to the original law, which they fought so much to obtain. Several thousand people in Paris held a peaceful march in memory of Holocaust survivor Mireille Knoll. The 85-year-old Knoll was found dead with 11 stab wounds at her apartment last week. Her apartment was set ablaze after the attack, which left her body badly burnt. Police suspect that Knoll's Jewish religion was a motive for the killing. Polling for Egypt's presidential elections has come to an end. According to officials, the voter turnout was not high as many believe Musa to be just a dummy candidate in the polls. Incumbent President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is expected to win this presidency. The Bashar al-Assad's army is preparing to launch a massive operation to free the last rebel-held town in eastern Ghouta. The decision comes reportedly after negotiating between Jaish al-Islam group and the government failed. The Syrian media reports that the rebels have set out big conditions which the Russians and the Syrians have refused to fulfill. Malala Yousafzai returns to Pakistan nearly 6 years after being shot in the face and neck by the Taliban. The youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace is expected to meet Prime Minister Shahid Khan Abbasi in Islamabad. Security has been beefed up in the city. NASA scientists to launch a new planet, Hunter. The transiting exoplanet survey satellite will undertake a 2-year survey mission to uncover previously unknown worlds beyond our solar system. Using wide-field cameras, TESS is designed to scan 200,000 of the brightest stars near the Sun in search of exoplanets. It is scheduled to be launched aboard a Falcon 9 rocket on April 16. Bolivians and Chileans fought on the battlefield in a reenactment of a Bolivian victory over Chile in the Pacific War 139 years ago. Local residents watched the Battle of Cancas Blancas was played out. The battle occurred in 1879 when Bolivian soldiers, peasants and indigenous residents stopped the advance of Chile. A Vincent van Gogh landscape went on display in Paris ahead of a sale in June. This is the first auction of the artist's work in France in more than 20 years. The oil painting entitled Fishing Net Menders in the Dunes is expected to fetch 3 and 5 million euros. Painted in 1882, the work was inspired by the countryside around The Hague, where Van Gogh spent time focusing on his art. Labrador Retriever is America's most popular dog breed for the 27th consecutive year. Meanwhile, German Shepherds and Golden Retrievers hung on to the second and third spots in New American Kennel Club rankings. French Bulldog jumped 2 spots to come in at number 4, knocking the ever-popular Beagle out of the top 5. Cinema Hall in Ireland organised a dog-friendly screening of Wes Anderson's new movie, Isle of Dogs. Large number of moviegoers showed up for the screening with their pet dogs. Every pet got a cinema seat of their own, as well as the opportunity to chow down on some dog-style cinema treats. US author Jacqueline Woodson has been conferred with the prestigious 2018 Astrid Lindgren Memorial Award. The award was established by the Swedish government in 2002, when Lindgren died at the age of 94, and is the world's largest children's and young people's literary award with an annual prize of 5 million Swedish crowns. Lost for about 300 years, a mass by Italian composer Giovanni Pergolesi is proving popular with audiences across Europe after being rediscovered by researchers. Pergolesi, who died of tuberculosis at the age of 26, is best known for his solemn sacred music. And in a bid to reach a consensus on bilateral water sharing, officials from India and Pakistan will be meeting in New Delhi on Thursday. The 2-day meeting of the Permanent Indus Commission will seek to discuss issues concerning India's Ratle hydroelectric project, Pakul Dam and Lower Kalnai projects. The body will try to find out a resolution to issues within the framework of the Indus Water Treaty. India's External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj is in Tokyo to attend the 9th India-Japan Strategic Dialogue. Swaraj will hold talks with her Japanese counterpart Taro Kono today. The two sides will review all aspects of bilateral relations and exchange views on regional and international issues. India's space agency ISRO will launch communication satellite GSAT-6A today. The satellite is expected to be put into orbit 17 minutes after being launched. A key feature of the satellite is providing mobile communication to India through multi-beam coverage facility. The government has extended the deadline for linking the Aadhaar with government schemes and benefits from March 30th to June 31st. According to reports, the extension has been given as the government wanted to avoid any further inconvenience and ensure that the genuine beneficiaries who do not have an Aadhaar number are not denied benefits for the lack of the biometric identification system. The Indian government has proposed selling 76% stakes in Air India and its subsidiary Air India Express to private parties. The government will retain a minority of 24% in the national carrier as part of its divestment program. Besides that, the government is proposing to divest 50% of its stake in Air India's airport services, ASATs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday spoke to HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar and conveyed his unhappiness over board exam paper leak issue and has asked for strict action. 2.8 million students are said to be impacted across India as the country's Central Board of Secondary Education, or the CBSE, announced that it will reconduct some exams for classes 10th and 12th.